Hi everyone, Christine here. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to all my new subscribers. And welcome to my Creative Times 161st edition Sneaky Peeks. And so before I share with you my projects, let me share with you what we're sneak peeking today. First of all, we have our new paper pack. It's called the Pastel Party 2026, and it comes with 24 sheets for each of 6 designs. And let me do a quick flip through for you. So you have 4 of these. Isn't that pretty? And here's the back. I love the back too. And then you have these. I love how it's sort of like a watercolor effect. And there's the back of that. And there's a pretty mint green. And here's the back of that. And there's this pretty color. And here's the back. I love this wood grain. And then you have a neutral script paper. And here's the back of that. And then you have this gray tone one. I love the script. And here's the back of that. And next we have our Circus Clown Ephemera. This is a super cute pack. And let me share with you what that looks like. And next we have our new stamp and die set. This one is called Let the Fun Begin, and it's got all kinds of super cute circus sentiments, like it's your birthday, have a ball, have a roaring good birthday, and then you have simple birthday wishes, let's celebrate, so if you want to take a screenshot. And then also it comes with the coordinating dies, which I love. And next we have our ticket booth die, and this measures 3 1/4 inches by 5 5/16 approximately, and so you get all your layers. Let me do a quick tutorial on how to put this together. Now Emma will probably have a tutorial. So this will be your base piece, and then you would layer this piece here. And then you have this solid piece, which is this here, and then you have your layers, the stitched layers. It goes on top like this, and so that would sit here. And then you have this piece. Now the hearts do pop out, but I kept them in with some washi tape just for now, in case I need it to be in pink. And then that layers here, and that lines up with this corner here and this corner here. So that's that. And then you have your ticket booth here, which is this piece. And then you have the layer for that. Now this cuts out in the center, and if you want, you can cut it out in a different color for contrast, and that's what I did there. And I popped up my ticket booth in foam. And then you have your tickets. This here is embossed, and then you have your layer piece here. You can add it up here if you wish. And then there's 25 cents embossed, and here's it layers on top of this piece here. You don't need to add that if you don't want to. And then there's a flag layer, and again this little heart pops out, but I just put washi tape on it just in case I want to keep that. And then there's a layer for the pole, and that goes on here like that. And then you would layer that on top of here. So that's your ticket booth. And like I said, Emma will probably have a tutorial on how to put this together. And next we have our scallop shaker balloon dies. So you have some heart nesting ones and your typical balloon size, and these have the larger one has a scallop, and then you have stitched layers, and then you also get a star one. This is all one set, and again it's scallop on the outside. And then and here's a sample here of the scallop. Now the next size down, it cuts out the center so you can create a shaker if you wish, or you don't have to use it as a shaker. And then you have all your balloon ties here, or strings, and here's the regular balloon one, and again it cuts out the balloon so you can create a shaker. And here's a star one. Now the heart one, the largest, the scallop one measures 3 3/8 across by 3 5/8. The regular balloon is 3 1/16 by 3 7/8, and the star is 3 1/2 by 3 5/16. Okay, so so that's the scallop shaker balloon dies. And next we have our ticket tag dies, which is this whole set here. You get quite a few. You have, to break it down, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 different sizes of ticket tag dies, and 3 of them have a total of 3 layers, and the smallest one is just this one here and a stitched layer. And the smallest measures from 1 1/4 by 5/8 to 5 1/2 by 3 as far as the largest size. And so for the largest one, just to give you an example, this one is using these 2 here, and then this top piece with the ticket numbers embossed is this one here. So that coordinates like that. So the other ones are basically the same, just smaller. So this is what they look like. And they have little heart details, which I love. And here's your embossed ticket and a little barcode. Isn't that super cute? And last but not least, we have the scallop topper die. And once this is folded over, it measures 4 by 4 1/4. And it's super simple to put together. It's just scored here, and you have 2 layers. You have this layer has a heart scallop, and then you have another layer that fits on top of that. And I'll share with you all my projects. Okay, so first of all, let me share with you my ticket booth. I made this into a box. Isn't that adorable? And so let me share with you the other products that I used. I used the large Treat Bag Add On. I used this piece here. I also used the Eyelet Doily Die. I used the smallest one. And I used the Etched Edge Z card, and I used the banner dies. And so isn't that adorable? I love it. And so let's start at the top here. So here I have a little pom-pom on top of the flagpole, and I just have some little ribbons, just as a fishtail, I guess. And here I have my tickets, which I popped up on foam. These tiny little hearts are negatives from the Eyelet Doily Die. And here's my balloons from the Scallop balloon shaker dies. And I have more little heart details. On the first one, I did pop up on foam. And then here's the banner from the Etched Edge Z card die. I popped up the layer on foam, and I added more little heart details here. And these little bows are from waxed linen thread. And then here's that piece here that I showed you earlier. It's this one here. I did pop it up on foam. And what I did was I had it cut out in pink, and I put washi tape on the back to keep it in place. And then I cut it out again in white, and then I added these white hearts back in. It's a little time consuming, but I needed to do it to see the contrast. Okay, and then underneath here is this part here, which is this solid piece, and then your layers here. And I popped this piece also on foam. And then in the back, here's my Eyelet Doily Die. And I tore a piece of paper. I think this is from the spring 2024 paper pad. I'll leave it down below. And then here's my little ticket booth, and I popped it up on foam. And then here's that sweet little girl from the ephemera. Isn't she adorable? I fussy cut her out and fussy cut the umbrella and the balloons, and popped her up a little bit. And here's that 25 cents. I also popped it up on just like with another piece of paper. I don't want to use foam. And then I have the ringmaster here, and he's holding a star. And I added some stickles in his hat and on the little candies. Here's that Let's Celebrate from the new Stamp and Die set. And here's that sweet little lion. Isn't he cute? And I did fussy cut him out. I tried to be careful with the tail. And then here's the some lace at the bottom, one of my favorite laces. And so on the sides here, you'll see I have from that box. And what I did was because this only comes with the sides, the large treat bag add-ons. And what I did was I measured from the score line. I measured up 3 inches and then cut the rest off. And so I cut that out twice. And then for the bottom, I measured, let's see, no, it's this one. I measured 3 1/4 inches across and then 2 1/2 inches. And then I scored it 1/2 inch so that way it'll sit, well, it'll glue to your front and back. Okay, hope that makes sense. And so here's the back, and if I have extra pattern paper, I may cover it with pattern paper, but for now I'm just gonna leave it. So that's my ticket booth box. Isn't that super cute? And next I created a card using the ticket booth die and also the ticket tag dies. And I created like a mini slimline, if you will. And that's super cute. Let me share with you all the other dies I used. I used the cute card stitched heart layers, and this will be back in stock shortly if it's not already in stock. I used the smallest one here. And again, I used the Etched Edge Z-fold card. I used the banner dies. The Eyelet Doily Die, the smallest one here. The pretty scallop ovals, I used the smallest one. And then the oval layers, I used this smallest one as well. I used from the More Cocoa Mugs and Stuff, I just used this little stitched oval as a little landing. And then from this die, I used the Beach Ginger die, and I used this little bow from the swim shorts. And so here's my card. Isn't that super cute? And so I have some pom-pom trim at the top of this little crown piece from the ticket booth, which is this piece again. And I did the same thing as my other project. I cut it out in white and in pink, and then I cut it out in white again, then inlaid all these tiny little hearts. And then I popped that piece up. And then I have my other layer here, which I also popped up in foam. And then back here, you'll see I have my, using the largest ticket tag dies. I used all 3 layers. And then I have my Eyelet Doily die here. I tore some papers. This again, I think is from the spring 2024. And then I have my shaker scallop balloon dies, and I added little heart details here and there, and that's also from the Eyelet Doily die. And then here's the pretty scallop oval you see here, and the stitched layer underneath that. And here's this cute little die cut that I fussy cut from the ephemera line. Added little stickles on the little desserts and topping. And here's that little landing from the More Cocoa Mugs and Stuff. And these pieces are also from the ephemera pack. And then I added stickles to them. And Another Year Sweeter, Happy Birthday, is also from the new Stamp and Die set. And so you can see up close, these are the ticket numbers here. added some lace, and I don't have anything on the inside yet. So that's my card. Is that super cute? And for my next project, I'm using the new Scallop topper die. Again, it measures 4 by 4 1/4 once it's all folded up. And it's super simple. And so the way I decorated is I just added, you know, my layers here. The scalloped heart layer is from part of that die, as well as this pink stitch layer is also part of that die. I also used an Eyelet Doily Die as well. And in addition to that, I used the pretty Rosette dies. I used the smallest one here. And what else did I use? Oh, and I also used the Eyelet Belly Band die, which is this one here. And I just scored it and flattened it. And then I also added a layer on top of that. I just measured a 3/8 inch strip and added it to my Eyelet Belly Band, Eyelet Doily Die Belly Band. And then I just fishtailed the end. And then here's my Rosette. I just added some cheesecloth, popped her up on foam. And then I just added some stickles to her. Did a little bit of fussy cutting. These tickets here where it says 25 cents, again, that's from the ticket booth. And all I did was I just used temporary glue dots to glue my my bag here. And that's all I did, so that's the back. So isn't that super cute? And last but not least, I created a carousel. And I was totally inspired by this paper line and with the Circus, and I knew I had to make a carousel. And I remembered I saw a video from Sandra, who is Atelier Vintage Rose, and she had a tutorial on how to put a carousel together. Now, to be honest with you, she made it look so much easier. So I had a little bit of trouble, but I'm glad it turned out the way it did. And so anyway, I used the ticket booth to create this crown part here, and then this little part here. And then I also used the scalloped shaker balloons. And in Sandra's tutorial, she shows you how easy it is to put together. I mean, you first start off with 2 4-inch circle dies, and you have 2 straws that you cut in half. Now, I only had some Christmas straws that were striped, red striped, so I had to gesso them and then paint them pink. And let's see, and then this here, I used the Eyelet Belly Band for the top, and then I cut off a little bit on the bottom one, because I wanted to use lace, so I just trimmed off part of the bottom piece. And then this piece here, I just cut a 3/8 inch strip. And this part here, I just took like a triangle, measured it about, I think about a 1/2 inch. And then I counted like 8. I figured I'd make about 8 of those, and that's how I did that. And she shows you how to make the cone. You would cut a 6-inch circle and cut a 1/4 inch off. And I didn't have a 6-inch circle die, so I created one using a pencil and a string. And it wasn't perfectly straight, but you can't see it once it's in here. And so anyway, and then I have my balloons here, and here's my my die cuts. I did fussy cut some of them, not all of them. So here's the ringmaster with his lion, and on this one, this little elephant, this little ball is from the Beach Ginger one. So so she's balancing on a ball. And here's a carousel horse. Isn't it cute? So this one is glued onto the straw. And then I have a sweet little tiger. And I have this girl here balancing on the ball with her umbrella and balloon, and I meant to stickle her up and I forgot to do that. Now on the tiger and also on the ringmaster and lion, I have them on little tabs. I don't know if you can see it. Let me see if I can. Okay, not sure if you can see it. So I just took little tabs, folded it in half, and I cut it out in green, and then where it sits on the back of the paper, because it's white, I just cut a piece of white paper out so it doesn't look so obvious. And here's a better picture of, it's kind of blurry because it's not focusing. Oops, I got something there. And so anyway, so that's my project. And then on the bottom here, I have some feet. I got those beads from Hobby Lobby. So I thought it would be a fun project to try. And of course I have a Roaring Good birthday at the top here. And this little flag is also from the ticket booth. And so that's that project. So here are my sneaky peek projects for 161st edition. And don't forget to come back tomorrow for our sale, which starts at 8 a.m. and ends on Friday at midnight. And don't forget to use any of our coupon codes for 15% off your entire order during the sale. And my coupon code is Christine, but please feel free to share the love with any of my design team sisters. And thank you all so much for using my code. I really appreciate that so much. And so if you guys have any questions, please let me know. And I thank you all so much for watching. Bye for now.